Travel, the intersection of timeline jumping and reality. You only live once. Why not see the world? Will your legacy be full of what ifs, or are you willing to take that chance to experience it for yourself? Travel to transform your reality.
Hi, how are you doing?
Good. Feeling good. How about you?
I'm feeling great. So I have you here for travel. Recently, you went on your first international trip to Tokyo, Japan.
Yeah.
Um, as someone who, has had their passport for a while, what made you take that leap of faith and make your first international trip Tokyo?
Okay. Yeah, you're right. I had my passport for a while and wasn't using it. Was just sitting there. Um. Wow. This year, I just felt like I needed to do something different. So, instead of New Year resolutions, I have themes. So one of my themes was explore, and that could have meant anything. It could have meant explore domestically, even within the state. It's a little day trip, anything. But yeah, I just got this feeling that I wanted to try something different. A lot of my friends and coworkers do a lot of international travel, and yeah, they've just been to some beautiful places. So I kind of want to experience that for myself. So yeah, I feel like that's how I got the idea to try something different and do an international trip.
How did you mentally wrap yourself around the planning of it, and why did you choose Tokyo?
Yeah, that's a good question too. As far as planning, the good thing was I've known people who've been to Japan, and not just Tokyo. So they were able to share their experience with me. And yeah, just coming to them, asking them a million and two questions, and just helping them kind of guide me in the right direction. I think that helped a lot. And then just research. So just watching a lot of YouTube videos, um, and just seeing people who've already done it and them kind of sharing their experience and giving me tips. So yeah, that's what kind of helped me through the planning process.
I love that. So then, do you believe in bucket lists at all? Have you ever done one? I know you said these were your New Year's resolution themes, but what about bucket lists?
Yeah, bucket list. Not really. I feel like it's hard for me to commit to a list that's like a lifetime that stretches over a lifetime. It's just kind of hard for me. If I ever had a bucket list, it would be like a living thing, like something I remove things from, not just extend. Um, so yeah, I kind of take it year by year, honestly, and kind of let life and my experience kind of dictate, what I'm gonna do. So yeah, a bucket list is just kind of too static for me. But if I had one, Japan definitely would have been on it, and yeah, would have checked that off. But as far as like other things that I kind of want to accomplish, yeah, like you said earlier, it kind of falls in line with my themes for the year. So with travel, everything travel related kind of falls under that explore theme. So it's not just traveling internationally, but also taking more domestic trips. Like America's a beautiful country. There's a lot of places to see, a lot of things to do. So yeah, even explore more there. But yeah, don't have a bucket list yet. Might look into it though.
Okay. So then, in what ways do you feel like your solo trip transformed you? And yes, you did go to Tokyo, Kyoto by yourself.
Yeah.
So in what ways do you feel like that trip transformed you spiritually, mentally, and physically?
Yeah. I don't know why I heard spiritually louder than the other option. I don't know. But yeah, just thinking back to, some of the people who I really looked up to growing up. So like my father, rest in peace. My cousin, my older cousin, who was like more of like a big brother to me, also rest in peace. Just the conversations, that I had with them, and like looking at their life, and yeah, just some of the motivation that I got, and also just focusing now on like my cousin, rest in peace, Terrell. A lot of the conversations that I had with him, it was all about like, breaking generational curses, trying new things, and just being different, not afraid to be the black sheep, not afraid to try things that other family members haven't, and being okay with failing and getting up and trying something new. So just remembering like one of the last conversations that I had with him, and him kind of telling me that, he was proud of me and all of the new things that I was doing. And I feel like, this trip kind of falls in line with that. It'll be something that he would have wanted to see me do. And just remember traveling and, just exploring the streets of Tokyo really late at night, and just feeling like they were with me in a way, and feeling like they were like super proud of me for taking this major step and doing something that was just kind of out of the ordinary. So, yeah. I don't know. I felt like that kind of, it was a new way for me to connect with them. And, it was a beautiful feeling. And what were the other? You said spiritually?
Mentally and physically.
Okay. Yeah. Then I'll go to the mental aspect of it. I can go through that. Travel is really good for us, because it kind of puts us into a totally new environment, and we're able to like just learn more about ourselves. So mentally, it really helped me understand that, I need to rest more. Tokyo doesn't really seem like a city to rest. That was my first stop. Also went to Kyoto, but I guess this, so I can talk about that. But my time in Kyoto specifically, it was very restorative, but also I was just focused on restoration. It was very restorative for me. And it was a way for me to just really sit back, relax, and just free of anxiety, not really having anything to worry about, not really having anything that I have to do, just kind of letting, leading with a vision more so than a plan. And I think that's something that I kind of want to do more of just in my everyday life, not being so focused on, checking things off a to-do list, but more so like, what is my intention for the day, and letting that kind of lead the way. And I feel like the trip was a good way to help me get started with that.
I like how you said leading with the vision more so than with the plan. Could you dive more deeper into that?
Yeah. I feel like we can get so focused on doing things in a specific way. And like I said before, like, I don't know if anybody who's listening is like a list maker, and that's definitely me. Like, I have to do things in a specific order and everything. Like, okay, first I got to do this. First I have to, do my workout. Then I have to go shopping. Then I have to do my grocery list. Then I have to meal prep. Then I have to, and, when you're taking a step away from that for a second, when you're on a trip, it's a lot of things that are like out of your control. So it kind of forces you to kind of reject that thinking and go with the flow more, So when you're traveling internationally, like for when I was in Japan, I was in Japan, so there was an obvious language barrier. I can't do things in the way that I want to do things. I have to go step away from the plan for a second just to be able to actually get shit done. So, so I might have to skip things on my list. I might have to just totally reject something that I had planned for today just because it didn't work out. Or more positively, I just found something else that was more intriguing that I wanted to do. So, if my vision for today is, I just want to immerse myself, try a new meal, maybe, learn something new, I could do that without actually having to, go to these specific places and go and that's what I mean by that. So fast forwarding back to, to today, my everyday life, it could be similar. Maybe I only have to go to work today, but instead of just thinking about, okay, I'm going to go to work, hit the gym, meal prep, starting with a better, more positive intention, like today, I want to focus on relaxing. And you can still do that and still get everything done. And maybe you add something to the list that you wouldn't have done before, because like I said before, you're leading with a vision instead of just a list of duties that you feel like you have to do. So yeah. So traveling, it really helped me exercise that a bit more. Like I said before, totally out of your control. So yeah. A quick story that I can go through that kind of explains this better is when I first arrived in Kyoto. And my intention before was to arrive there, take an Uber to my hotel, drop off my bags, shower, do everything that I wanted to do, and then head out and go walk through the just walk through the city and see some of the temples and everything like that. And I just had this like order on how I wanted to do things, and it just didn't work out that way. When I arrived, I was a little too early to check in. So that was number one. So most people are like, oh, things aren't going my way. It's okay. But they were able to just take my bags, and then also, since I was like a little unsettled, I'm like, well, this is going against plan. Like I wanted to, I just kind of, instead of like, following that list, I just totally rejected. And I was like, you know what? I just asked the worker, I was like, is there any cool things to do around here? And I remember he gave me this map of the city, and it had all of the attractions on there. And I remember there just being, and it was separated too. Like some were just like for views, some were more like historically relevant stuff. It was amazing. And then he gave me some recommendations, restaurants I can try. All of this I could reach on foot, by the way. So, but yeah, I wouldn't even have asked that if things were going to plan. I just would have checked in, like, okay, thanks. Went straight to my room, showered, and went about, my day. But since I talked to him, I was able to like expose myself to a lot more. He just gave me like a quick tour guide in like 5 minutes, and I wish I had the map here, but he annotated and everything. Like he just gave me this perfect map that I then used to go out and just have one of the best days of the trip. So that's what I mean, kind of like letting the vision guide you versus just sticking to a plan that you made up. It's all arbitrary bullshit. So yeah, just go with the flow. That's how I summarize it.
All right. So how did you overcome fear and overthinking, especially when it comes to long distance travel?
Yeah, research. The more you know about something, the less you fear it, right? Ignorance begets fear. So the more I learn, the more research I can take in. Like I was learning about Japan. It's a culture shift. Like it's completely different from how we do things here. So yeah, just started Googling stuff, ChatGPT, and then also just talking to friends who have already been and forcing them to tell me every single thing about the trip. Like I want to hear it from start to finish. What did you do? What are the stores you went to? Give me some recommendations, and just letting them kind of pour into me, and then them like kind of reassuring me that I'm going to be safe. So another thing is just picking a location that makes sense for you. What kind of traveler are you? What do you expect to get out of the trip? And then picking a place that aligns with that. So yeah, there's nothing to fear after you've planned everything out. You've talked to the right folks. You have everything situated. What is there to fear? Like you should really be thinking of it in terms of like, how much fun am I going to have on this trip? So yeah, and also Japan is like one of the safest places to travel like ever. So Tokyo is a super safe city. So I really didn't have anything to worry about. And yeah.
I love that. So then how did you tell your family about your trip, or what was their reaction when you told them about your solo trip to Japan?
Yeah. The planning part of my process was really isolated. Like I really just kind of kept that to myself. And because I didn't really want any like negative energy, affecting that process. So yeah, for the planning part, I just planned everything out, assuming that things are going to work out, with a positive mind. So yeah. And then once everything was planned out, I know where I wanted to go, know when I wanted to go there, everything. Then yeah, opened up, shared that with them, and they were mostly excited about it. Definitely a little nervous, like parents can be that way. My mom is very protective, so she's like, "What, man? I've never been there. What are you gonna do out there?" And I was like, "Yeah, I have this whole itinerary. Like these are places I'm gonna go, the cities I'm gonna stay in." But then ultimately, yeah, she just accepted and was like, "Okay, I trust you. I know you wouldn't go out there if you haven't done enough research." And yeah, so at first, they were a little nervous, concerned about me. And then after talking about it with me a little bit more, then they were actually happy for me.
Love that. Love that a lot. So then, did your trip bring you the peace you were looking for?
Yes. Yes, it was. I think I said this before, and it's ironic. It was very restorative for me, at least mentally. And yeah, definitely brought me the peace that I was looking for, which is easier to attain on a solo trip, I would say. You're on your own. You really don't have a lot of other people kind of affecting like your mood and stuff, so you're able to just be yourself, be free. And that's the piece that I was really looking for. I love to do trips with like friends and family and stuff, but yeah, if you're looking for peace, a solo trip is what you want. There's nobody there to tell you that you can't reject something on your itinerary just because you want to. Like, there's nobody there to tell you that you can't stop at that little shop that you saw instead of going to the reservation that you had. There's nobody there to tell you that, you just can't stop and have a random conversation with somebody for an hour on the street. Like, I've done all these things in Japan. I met so many cool people. And it definitely, yeah, it was definitely peaceful, to say the least. And yeah.
I love that. The randomness that comes, and just that also adds like a different layer to the trip that you can't plan for,
Mm-hmm.
It gives you freedom to practice freedom, So then, being the first to, are you the first to travel outside of your family? Outside the country?
Leisure, yes. Like, my mom traveled a lot before work. So she wasn't really able to. She would tell me about all of these places that she traveled. I used to love hearing the stories. It was mostly for work. She was on duty. Like, she had things to do when she was out there. But yeah, I was like, I want to see these beautiful places, but I want to immerse myself into it. I want to have the time to actually just explore, try the food, talk to some of the locals, do things like that. So yeah, I wasn't, and this is in my immediate family, by the way. But yeah, I would say for the type of travel that I'm doing, definitely at first.
Yes. So then, because you were the first, explain the intentionality behind making that a part of your legacy, essentially. Like, why is it important for you to travel for leisure and not just for work, especially internationally, given everything that you've been learning or have learned from this trip?
Yeah, it's all about, I don't even want to use the word curses, but just generational
breaking patterns.
Breaking patterns, right? Like, I think you talked about fear earlier, right? There's this fear, and I don't know if I'll just speak for like, Black families, but yeah, this fear with travel, like even domestically, that I feel like, we could definitely do more to break those patterns and not overlooking all of the history of discrimination. Everything that stuff is real, right? I've done the homework. I've done my homework, so I understand that. We're definitely at a place, where we should be exploring more, should be seeing new places, and I think it's time. It's time for us to take that step. And yeah, like I said, not overlooking the history that we've had. So, understanding that, right now I'm in a position, my generation, we're in a position where we have the ability to just travel for leisure and not have to worry about, discrimination, a lot of things, or just fearing for our lives even. And that's even with domestic travel. Like I know. So, I think that was like, some of that created a lot of like the fear, that we have when it comes to traveling. And I feel like, I'm in a position where I can kind of break free from that, explore more. And then also, just planting the seeds. Like I want my kids to be just culturally aware, understanding issues that are happening like across the world, not just things that are happening in their state or in their country, and just expanding their network. Like, I want to be at a point where I have friends and people I consider close friends, people I consider family, even in different countries. If they travel to the U.S. and they're in the Midwest, they don't need to get a hotel, or at the very least, they have somebody that they can see who can show them around. And I want that for myself, when I travel to other places. And it starts with planting the seeds now, So I haven't taken a lot of international trips, like only a couple so far. But, I want to be at a point where I have people who I can see, when I travel to these different destinations. So, got to plant the seeds now.
What advice would you give your younger self when it comes to travel and the wonders that it has done for you? If you were talking to your younger self, what would you say?
Younger me wouldn't even couldn't even fathom this. Younger me wouldn't even have considered traveling to like Japan, for example. Like, what's in Japan for me? Younger me wouldn't even have. It would be so hard to even explain to my younger self, that I would want to do that at some point. Wow. I was very imaginative as a kid, so it's not like it was like out of reach, but I just hadn't thought internationally yet, So I think the only thing I would tell my younger self is to get started early. Like you're gonna have a thirst for this at some point in your life. As soon as you get your first big boy check, plan your trip. Like I should have been traveling years ago. I don't know why I waited so long. Had my passport for years. So younger me I would tell my younger self, as soon as you're of age, get your passport and start planning and start traveling to new places. It'll benefit you in the long run.
What would you say about the wonders that it had done for you? How would you explain that to your younger self?
Yeah, I would definitely help them understand. It's gonna help you change your mindset about a lot of things. You're gonna learn a lot of things about yourself that you probably wanted to avoid. And it's gonna help you confront a lot of your personal issues, but in good ways, so that's the growth part of it. You're gonna grow a lot from these experiences because you have no choice. And that's a good thing. And remember to journal while you're out there. Journal your story every day. You're gonna want to put in your journal exactly what happened. I mean, names, what you ate, what you drank, where'd you go, everything, right? Because this is what you're gonna want to see when you're back, and you want to kind of refresh yourself and just understand, what you went through out there. So but journal, and making sure that you're. Actually, I'll leave it at that. Yeah, because the journal is going to start. That's that's the beginning of everything, right? That's where you can pick into it and really learn, like what some of your patterns were. What are some things that you can do to kind of shift your mindset even back at home? I think I like covered this earlier, but one thing for me, I'll give an example because I feel like I'm talking in circles now. Examples help. With me, I don't like to ask people for help when I'm out, right? It's a Chicago thing, I guess. I like to look like I'm always knowing where I'm going. I don't really like to engage with people unless I have to. I speak, I'm very kind, but I won't walk up to a stranger and ask, hey, where's this store? I don't do that. And you have to do that on an international trip. Like this, it's impossible to get by, especially if you're traveling solo. It's impossible. You have to put your trust into a stranger sometimes. And it's going to be so scary for you because you're not used to doing that. So that's one thing that, I could do it, like practice a little bit more even home. Like what's stopping me from asking a stranger? A stranger in Japan is the same thing as a stranger in Chicago. There's no difference. It's just that you're in a new place and you're more willing to try different things, But that's one thing that I learned about myself. Like back at home, I could be lost in the city. I don't care. I don't care if it takes me 30 minutes. I'm not going to ask anybody for help, and that's something that this trip has taught me that I have to do better at, But in Japan, I would just walk up to the 7-Eleven worker, the random person on the street. And a lot of people spoke English there, which is very helpful. And a lot of people were willing to help me there too. I'm like, is this just a mindset thing? Like, because it could be the same thing here. Like I live in Bronzeville. People are very nice here. So it's like you create, your own reality in a way. And, me putting that good and positive energy out there, when I'm in Japan and when I was in Japan, people were probably just more likely, to help me because they saw that. And the same can be true here, right at home. So yeah, that's just one example, one thing that I kind of learned about myself. And so I would challenge my younger self to find more things like that, So I can just continue to grow, become a better person.
Love that. Okay, so then I have my final two questions. One of them is going to be a quote from you, but what would you tell an adult older than you that is contemplating international travel? What would you tell them? What advice would you give them?
What are you waiting for? Like, the clock is ticking. Like I hate to be so morbid, but it's true. You spending your life in confinement, basically. Like you have to get out. You have to explore. Especially if you're older and we are having this conversation, you have the money. Just do it. Like just do it. I hate to say that, like, because it's simplifying it, but I would tell them just book it. And this I got from like one of my coworkers actually. Once you get the plane ticket and the hotel, you have a trip. Like everything else can be planned out later, So that's one thing. I book the flight, get the hotel, and you're really done. That's like 80% of the work. Now everything else you can fill in, So anybody who was thinking about taking an international trip, that's what I would tell them. I know there's a lot of research that kind of contradicts what I said before. Assuming you've done that, book the flight, get the hotel, and let everything come afterwards.
Okay, I like that. And then leave us with a quote. Leave us with a quote about
Oh, that's
travel.
a hard one. That's a hard one.
What does travel mean to you? What would your quote, what would your iconic quote be?
Yeah. Wow. Travel like you're 5 years old. So you're not 5 years old, but really try to tap into the younger version of yourself when you travel. Assume you know nothing, right? And every time you experience it like it's something that you haven't seen before, and be that curious about it. So it's all about curiosity. It's all about trying new things and just not being afraid to do that, you know, and being yourself, you know, just being free, not caring about, you know, how you're going to look, not caring about, you know, all of the logistics of just be you, you know, and be curious and be open to trying a lot of new things. So yeah, tap into that younger version of yourself and don't be afraid to try something new.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
No problem. This is so fun.
Thank you. That concludes our interview for travel. Bye.